Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Premier Injuries Daily Update. We're still in the midst of game week 13 with one fixture still to play. West Ham United entertain Bournemouth first. So that's where we'll go. The London Stadium. David Moyes will hand two late fitness tests, one to Craig Dawson. That's back-to-back dead legs that he picked up in consecutive games. He's missed the last two matches. If he does pass and come into that backline, it could mean a little bit of a reshuffle. We have seen him partnered alongside Kurt Zuma, and if he does, that might push Kira out to that right back spot. Previously, we have seen Vladimir Soufal or Ben Johnson occupying that, and also a change from a 4-2-3-1 to even a 3-4-3. So watch out for that one. Elsewhere, Maxwell Cornet picked up a calf problem against Wolves. Again, he has been on the training pitches, but due to that lack of sharpness and fitness, I would expect at best a place on the bench. Of course, these extra recovery days mean that fatigue and those quick turnarounds with it being a 3-game week for those teams isn't as big a deal for them. For the visitors, Gary O'Neill, an interim boss, he's made very few changes since taking charge after that 9-0 defeat at Anfield. Long-term absentees remain the same. Lloyd Kelly, ankle, nothing definitive on his, and also David Brooks. Elsewhere, Joe Rothwell and Ben Pearson, they're back in the matchday squad and trying to force their way into that starting 11 after recovering from long-term injuries. They just need to build up a little bit of sharpness and match-day fitness. Now, back to game week 13 for those fixtures that are played. We start at Leicester. Great result at Molineux, 4-0. Johnny Evans failed a late fitness test on a calf complaint. He's missed the last two. That meant that Daniel Amati continued in that backline. It remains to be seen whether Johnny Evans will recover. Brendan Rodgers is fairly optimistic. He does expect him back on the training pitches later on this week, but maybe those FPL managers who are tempted by the fact that the Foxes have had 4 clean sheets in the last 5 maybe want to just make note that it's Manchester City this weekend, so probably a one to avoid. He made 2 changes at Molineux. James Maddison was returning after serving a 1-match ban, and we also seen Jamie Vardy drop to the bench for Patson Daka. Those were both tactical switches with Dennis Pratt. Hadn't had a lot of game time between them, and again, just with that quick turnaround, it was a little bit of a push for them to be risked in that. Now, ahead of the Champions League, we know that defender Kubalali missed out against Manchester United at the weekend. That was referenced as a knee problem. It is thought to be minor. However, as part of the open training session on Monday morning, Chelsea facing Salzburg on Tuesday, Kubalali was not part of the group. Again, that calls into big question on his availability, although Chelsea are well stocked in that heart of defence. For Tottenham on Sunday, there were 2 surprise omissions from the matchday squad. Christian Morero missed out due to a thigh problem, and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg missed out because of a calf issue. So 2 soft tissue muscular issues referenced by Conte as minor. But of course, like I say, they missed out in that 2-1 win for Newcastle. Tottenham are playing Sporting at home in the Champions League on Wednesday, so we would expect a full update from the Italian boss ahead of this weekend. A few changes with tweaks within the lineup. Ralph Hasenhüttl. There was a lot of talk about who would start at right back this weekend. We know that Tino Livramento has been sidelined for quite a while with that serious ACL problem. And we also seen Kyle Walker-Peters limp off with a very serious hamstring issue. That sort of thought into question. A lot of people are talking about Juan Larios, the 18-year-old, who was thought to maybe switch flanks, but it wasn't. It was the Brazilian Lianco who was handed his first Premier League start of the season. But again, are we looking at investing much in that Southampton defence? Possibly not, but he is a £4.4 million defender. And after that draw against Arsenal, you would think that he could be locked in at least for the next game. Maitland-Niles, he didn't feature on Sunday because he couldn't line up against his parent club. We also seen Shea Adams drop to the bench, but that was a precautionary measure because the striker had been complaining of a tight hamstring during the week. So that was just careful management there from Ralph Hasenhüttl. For Brighton, We haven't seen too many changes from the new coach since he took charge, but we may be forced into at least one change this weekend. Adam Lallana, he came off. That was more of a tactical switch, again, precautionary, just protecting him after his recent injury problems. But Joel Ventman, he picked up a calf problem. Now, that's been assessed at the time of this goal, so we don't know the severity of that. But again, muscle injuries, given the turnaround 7 to 10 days, it's going to be tricky. Certainly if there's a pull or a strain in there, that could open the door for Tariq Lamptey, an opportunity for him to return and push into that Seagulls squad. For Leeds, the pressure is mounting on Jess Marsh. Made 6 changes on Sunday at home to Fulham. Didn't make a great deal of difference. Of course, they went down 3-2. Most of those switches or removals were tactical. However, Tyler Adams, that was a muscular problem that kept him out of the game. Again, minor. We're coming off the back of that 3 games in 1 week, so no need to take any chances, and that's why he was omitted from the matchday squad. Had quite a few questions with regards to the omission or Christoph Ayer coming in for Ben Mee at the weekend for Brentford. They suffered heavily against Aston Villa at Villa Park. That was 4-0. I would expect Ben Mee to return to that starting 11. The reason his absence this weekend, that was an ankle problem that he's been managing. So again, games in quick succession, he was struggling. But like I say, with a full week of recovery, I would expect him back in Thomas Frank's starting 11. For Manchester United, Rafael Varane initially looked like a really serious problem, hamstring-related issue, overstretched when he went to when the contest tackle with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Was obviously very distressed and upset as he walked down the pitch, but initial reports suggest that the injury isn't as severe as first thought, and that gives him hope of certainly featuring in the World Cup. But with regards to Manchester United and playing before the break for Qatar, unlikely, I'd suggest, at this point. So Lindelof was a player who come in alongside Martinez. Harry Maguire isn't too far away from a return. We have seen him on the training pitch. He was working individually, but he certainly stepped that up in recent times. So Maguire may be there to back up from the bench. And finally, Liverpool, 2 updates ahead of their Champions League tie midweek. We are expecting 2 players to return to the matchday squad. Thiago Alcantara, he went down ahead of that Nottingham Forest game with an overnight ear infection, went to hospital. Doctors couldn't really do anything. That's why he wasn't involved in the matchday squad. And we also seen Darwin Núñez complained of a tight hamstring during the week, had treatment on Thursday and Friday. Club decided not to take any risks. Had the game been on Sunday or Monday, Jurgen Klopp suggested that the forward probably would have been okay. So again, that's an indication that it's more just of a precautionary measure, given the fact that we know that Luis Diaz and Diego Jota are both out long-term. So that was just managing the player. We do expect him to return in the Champions League and, of course, in game week 14. So that's it for now in terms of your Premier Injuries Daily Roundup. Thanks for watching. Have any comments, pop them in the box below. And look, if there's anything else that you need, hit me up at Ben Dinnery, or you can always check out the premierinjuries.com table.